You're a highly sought after flower lady in LA. You've been able to work with a lot of fashion names, like maybe like Prada, Moschino,
Oh my God.
Glossier, Summer Friday, Glow Recipe, Tatcha.
Social media was kind of my background.
So why did you leave that company?
Well, they closed down, which was like very, very, again, very serendipitous.
How did you get an interest in flowers in the first place?
I feel like I just am like such a girl of many, many hobbies. Everything very hee ha ha. I'm a hee ha ha girl. That is the only way to live though. It's to hee ha ha. I have this motto outside of the hee ha ha thing, but this is under the umbrella of hee ha ha as well. Do whatever the hell you want to do. Be hee ha ha with it. It's not that serious. I was an AFS foreign exchange student for 1 year in Iowa. Shout out to the Iowans. I mean, I love it there, meaning like it has a special place in my heart.
Should we start flower arranging?
Let's do it while we as we're talking, right?
Okay.
We're gonna reflex some roses.
And what does reflex mean?
We're about to find out.
Hi, Puni! I've never even asked you what your full name is.
You know what? I have lots of full names. You want my government name or my most recent last name?
Let's tell all of them.
Well, I usually just go by Puni Petals now because it's really easy, right?
Yeah, and it fits the brand so much.
And then also Thai names are so long. So my government last name is Limpan Udom. But my parents recently separated and I'm taking my mom's name. So now it's Akasin Tawangkun. So, but I usually just go by Puni Petals for the most part for the branding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Here's my guest, Puni, who is a floral designer, or on your bio you say floral sculptor. And I really like that. A sculptor.
Floral artist.
And I'm always very grateful to any of my guests who invite me into their home and like, look at this house. It's so cute.
I baked a cake for us too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so there's going to be cake and coffee, essentially.
Cake and coffee and flowers. Later.
We're going to be actually floral arranging in this episode. So if you're not watching the video, I'm sorry, you're missing out.
Yes.
Okay, so we've already given a bit of a teaser when we just started jabbering away, but your name is Puni. We'll just go by Puni.
Okay.
And you run a business called Puni Petals, but that's also the name that you go by too, Puni Petals. But you're Thai-born and now you're Los Angeles-based. And that's why we're able to do the interview together, which makes me very happy.
Me too. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And
thanks for
coming.
reaching out.
Yes, of course. Oh my God, such a fan. You know, I love your podcast.
Thank you so much. Usually I'm the one who gives the listeners a brief origin story of my guests, but today I'd like to try something different and have you speak for yourself. But before I do that, I just want to shout out the brands that you've worked with.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you've been doing this for almost 2 years, correct, Puni?
Almost, just like a year and a half.
So a year and a half.
Yeah.
And pun intended, it has quite, it's flourished into a busy.
Business is blooming.
Literally. busy business. Relatively soon after you made Puni Petals full time, you told me that Amazon booked you for an event.
Yes.
Which is crazy. So
oh my goodness.
That's just like a big life sign that, okay, this is the space that I'm meant to be in.
Yes. And I mean, it was all very opportune, Well, I mean, because when I entered the business, I think it was the first official year that COVID kind of just had ended in a way. So last year I started my business and it was the first official year where there was no COVID. So everyone was kind of just going crazy, we gotta do events, we gotta do blah blah blah, we gotta get married, everybody who's just has this backed up event things for the past 2 years of COVID. All of a sudden 2022 COVID calmed down and everyone was like, let's go. And because this wasn't a COVID hobby or anything, it started after COVID, but it started also right when the world was getting back on its feet again. So I just had huge things, a huge first year. So I was really, really lucky that way. I think.
It's just so cool hearing about all of these unique niche businesses that came out of COVID that you would just never have thought of. Floral arranging is quite a big business, but it's not something that a regular Jill like me would think about. Oh yeah, after COVID, I think the floral business is going to do really well.
I never thought about it either. It was kind of just something that serendipitously happened. I feel very, very grateful for.
Yeah. So after you booked the Amazon as a client, you've been able to work with a lot of fashion names, like maybe like Prada, Moschino.
Oh my gosh.
Like Casetify too. I went deep into your feed.
Casetify. Oh my God. Yes, that was fun. That was last Valentine's Day.
It was like a whole little art installation.
Yes, it was an art installation.
So pretty. And other there's beauty brands too. Beauty brands they love, all the floral arranging.
Yes, I do love it.
Glossier. Oh my gosh. Summer Friday, Glow Recipe, Tatcha, and again, you do a lot of other personal projects for like weddings and just many other events that are not branded per se. But yeah, I just like to start off with, you're now a highly sought after flower lady in LA, but I would like to go to, who was Puni before she became Puni Petals? So when we spoke on the phone prior to this interview, you talked about how you were at like a tech job, like startup,
e-com, interior design. Like I was in marketing, social media marketing for a really long time. Like since I graduated, I was kind of in marketing, specifically social media marketing, for quite a bit of time. Before this, I was working at a startup called Companion for about a year, and they were kind of interior design adjacent. They're doing e-com, doing a little bit of like consulting for like interior design like realm. And I've always been in like the interior design world adjacent for a bit. Like before that, I was managing social for a very big celebrity interior designer for 3 years-ish. But yeah, always worked in like social, basically. I would say social media was kind of my background. Always been like a creature of the internet of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so why did you leave that company?
Well, they closed down, which was like very, very, again, very serendipitous in how Puni Petals came to be, because I think they were a startup, and like it was really great. The branding was great. I really loved the team, but ultimately I think they ended up having to close down. But they were very gracious when they did decide that Companion was going to be no longer. They had told us very early on, and then gave us a lot of time to figure things out.
Yeah, how many months in advance?
Like months, like 2-3 months they told us, and they haven't even decided yet, but they were like, okay, hey guys, like this is something that's on the radar for us, because you know how most startups sometimes they just pull the rug from underneath you and just be like,
that was
guys,
me twice.
Don't come to work tomorrow. You don't have a job anymore. No, they like gave us like maybe 2 months to think about it, or 2 months that they were thinking about closing down. They finally closed down. They gave us another month of like severance. So so like 3 months of really like prepping things. And they were like, hey, look, if this doesn't feel stable for you, it's totally okay if you start interviewing for other jobs. Like this is not like we don't know for sure if we're gonna close down. So they were being very generous. And so I was kind of doing petals for funsies for a bit. And then after they said that, they were like, okay, well, let me see what I can do with Puni Petals. So I started ramping Puni Petals for the 2 months. And then once they really closed down, I think in either April last year, 2022, I was like, okay, I think Puni Petals was like ramping, like on its way up. And then on my birthday in May, Amazon booked me. And then it kind of just like snowballed. And then I had a huge Mother's Day that year, last year. And then it kind of just snowballed, really. I think I just kept putting myself out there and was just kind of seeing where it goes. I really didn't know what shape it was going to take. I was just having fun, being vulnerable, putting myself out there, and just letting Puni Petals take the wheel.
Yeah. How did you get an interest in flowers in the first place?
Honestly, I feel like I just am like such a girl of many, many hobbies. You know, I'm very...
Yeah, such as?
Like, I don't know, I paint like that painting over there. Like, this for fun. You know, everything's for fun. Everything's very hee-hee, ha-ha. I'm very hee-hee, ha-ha girl. You know, that is the only way to live, though. It's to hee-hee, ha-ha. You know, it's not that serious. Life is long. It's okay to have phases of things that you can, like, you know, like... dated a musician for a really long time, so I was like really into songwriting, you know, like for a bit. I like writing poems and stuff, but it's not like, it doesn't have to be super serious, and it doesn't necessarily have to be shared or be successful, or like if you get bored of it, you can move on. It's totally fine.
That's interesting that you said that life is long, because people would be like, oh, because life is so short, so just do your own thing.
Life is so long. Like, I just feel like, well, it's both, right? Life is long, do your own thing. Life is short, do your own thing. Like, that's the bottom line. It's just do whatever the hell you want to do. Be hee ha ha with it. It's not that serious, you know? And like that way you don't have to be like, look back and be like, oh, what if, you know? Hey, you tried it. You like it, you move on, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of how I like to view things, you know?
I mean, a little like life lesson, just hee hee ha ha. That's my new lesson. Well, okay, so when you were starting this flower business, it's just, is this a profession where you can be self-taught, or did you have to learn the anatomy of the flowers, or like do some studying on them?
No, honestly, I just like wung it.
Just yawned.
I really did. And I mean, look where it took me though, right? I think it was just, I was very real. I was very vulnerable. And I think what really started it was that I just started Puni Petals, the Instagram, just to document the journey of my flowers, and that I had given myself $50 a week to just go to the market, the actual market, not Trader Joe's, not Whole Foods, you know, go to the actual market and then buy the actual flowers from the downtown LA flower market.
So you were in downtown LA today?
Not today. Well, yes. Today I went to Mayesh in LAX though. There's a couple of them. There's an LAX market too, a mini one. Okay. And then, but usually I go downtown. But I would go downtown and give myself $50 because I'm like, okay, like, what's $50? It's like a yoga class, and I like miss them all the time anyway. Like, it's like people. So I'm just like, okay, well, instead of like missing my yoga class, I'll just take my $50, go to the market, buy some flowers, come back, make the flowers, and then put it up online. No one's gonna see it anyway. I think at that time there was probably like, I only had like 20 followers. Yeah, I just ended up going to the market and just doing that every week, and I just put all my flowers up. And they were not cute. They were not cute flowers. Yeah. Like my arrangements at first weren't cute. And then I started really leaning into the floral community and asking the people that I really admire. Like, I really like flowers. I really like following florists and floral designers and stuff. And I would just reach out to people and be like, hey, like, how do you do this? And people were just really kind enough to, I've been so lucky throughout this entire journey that people have just been very supportive, very supportive, very non-gatekeepy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and just have always been like, yeah, this is how you do it. And so now when people do reach out to me to ask things like that, I always try to like give back as much as possible, because I feel like I wouldn't be able to be here without the community that was so readily available to support me when I just first started and was just being really confused about everything. Yeah, that's kind of how it started.
And it seems like this whirlwind that just kind of flung you into this flower business, but I'm sure it wasn't like always just, oh, it's so easy, I made my business full time. Like, what was that transition period like to go from a more, I guess, corporate job to running your own business? Like, I'm sure it has its challenges.
It definitely has, in a way where similar to you, right? Especially when things are, you know, you put yourself out there and people really like it, and then you just like really grind on your own for a really long time. But it's just almost like trial by fire, because like you're putting out great stuff. There's a lot of heart in it. People can see it. People pick it up, and there's traction. And then once it really starts like going so fast, you need to figure out how to scale in a way that is like sustainable for you. You know, like you'll grind really hard, but also like, at least for me, I love to rest. You know, like I'll work hard, but I also love resting more so than working really hard.
I mean, you're doing a good job, so I think you're doing something right.
Because a lot of some people love working themselves to the bone, right? Yeah. I'm such a like work-life balance girly. I just like, if I'm like, oh, I work hard, I'll work really hard, but then I also just, I'm going to be like, and then I'm going to rest now. You have to rest. You don't want to burn out. So I think the technique, I guess back to your question, was like, how did you do it when it's just like really first happening? Is this like, I think I really leaned into making sure that I accept help. You know, I think you're going through that too, is that because I love resting. When people say, hey, let me help you, I say, okay, I take the wheel. Go ahead, do whatever you want to do.
But I mean, it's like you trust that they're going to do the work, you know? And like, I also find it, I find it very hard to trust people too. And so like, when I finally, you know, accept help from these wonderful people who I know they're so talented, like, it took me a while to say yes to, you know, have them in, you know?
I think I'm the opposite. But I think I also have learned a lot by being, because I'm a very trusting person. I always just feel like if you think you say you can do it, I believe that you can do it. Like, I always feel like maybe I perhaps like always undermine myself in a way where I'm just like, I mean, anybody can do this. I still feel that way. I'm like, anybody can do what I do. It's not that hard.
I mean, yeah, I think the same for me too.
And then I'm just like, but I guess there's all these micro decisions I've learned that I make unknowingly, and probably you do too, like micro decisions that you make constantly that make your work great, you know? And people sometimes don't have that innate decision making unless you communicate to them properly.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I learned pretty fast earlier on, because I do accept help very like openly. What I learned by being a very trusting person is that if you know what you want, people can't read your mind. They can be talented. Like, I believe in everyone's talented in their own way, and I believe that they can do it. But I think it's my job as a manager, as a designer, or as like whoever is taking the lead to articulate to people what it is that I like in a way that's like not confusing. Because I think there's a lot of like creative people out there, and I think a lot of people struggle with this too, because creativity is so innate that a lot of it is just a feeling, right? Oh, it just feels like it should be this shape and it should be placed here. But I think in order to scale properly and be a good manager, you have to be able to articulate to people.
Exactly.
It feels like this, and it will look like a triangle, or you want it to be more dimensional. Don't make the flowers touch. Like, you need to be able to articulate and teach people and not get frustrated. Like, I always try to make sure that I don't get frustrated with the people that work with me just because they can't replicate exactly what I do. I always just take it upon myself that it's just the way that if they're doing something that's not right, it must be the way that I communicated to them.
Exactly.
You know?
That's something I'm learning too. So when I accepted help from Skylar Brigman, once again, another shout out to my new happy hour
Skylar.
I do agree that, you know, communicating your vision when you've agreed to accept help is so important. So for example, when I said yes to, okay, Skylar, let's have you edit this trailer, I immediately like wrote down a style Bible of like how I want my trailers to look like. It was like, here's the font, here's the size, here's the color.
Are you type A?
Oh yeah.
Are you really? Okay, that's good.
I'm type
Then
A,
you're gonna
and
be
then my
really great at
Enneagram
this.
is type 1, the perfectionist.
What? Oh, I don't know what my Enneagram is.
And so I actually had a conversation with someone recently, and she was like, your podcast sounds pretty unedited. Like, it's pretty free-flowing. I was like, oh, no, it's highly edited.
That's good.
It's highly edited, yeah.
Attention to detail is everything. Is where the magic happens,
to a T,
really.
but to a fault. But, yeah, I do agree. It's like, yes, accept the help, but also have, like, certain stipulations and, like, boundaries, too. Because, you know, the two of you wanted to succeed together. I want to go back to, like, younger puni. So we were at, like, corporate puni. And now let's get to younger puni.
We're going back in time.
So we also, do you want to cut open this cake? Like, I feel
like
it's just
my goodness, is it cake time? It's like melting away. It is time to rest. Intermission.
Okay, let's actually cut up.
Cake time.
I told your mic.
This is a strawberry shortcake, which is my favorite shortcake.
Because you like to bake and cook as well.
I like to bake and cook.
Oh my
I have a
gosh.
cooking Instagram as well.
Oh, look at that.
It's the emoji cake.
Yes, it is. It is. Oh my goodness.
But I am so glad that you're here to eat it.
We have so many chapters in this conversation. So we had chit chat time, we had coffee time, we have cake time, and then we'll have flower arranging time.
Yes.
The girls are girling.
The girls are girling. Wait,
it's much more fun. Cute. Honestly, it's so fun when I have girlies come on the pod because I just feel like we have so much more fun.
Really?
Yeah, it's like,
what
you know.
What are the men like? Wait, this is like an emoji cake. This is so cute. This is
because for me, I mean, whenever I have guys on the pod, I don't act like this.
You don't?
I'm very like, I'm much more professional. People who are only on Apple Podcasts are just hearing a squeal. This is so beautiful. It's 3 layers.
Yes, it's sponge cake in the middle,
gosh.
mascarpone whipped cream, honey with honey, sweetened with honey, which is my favorite. And then the sponges are soaked with strawberry syrup that I made myself as well.
I loved eating. I mean, as like an Asian kid growing up in Asia, I loved eating sponge cake for breakfast.
Oh,
yeah.
With some milk, with some what?
I mean, just like sponge cake on its own, and then thank you. And I mean, I guess like in the mornings I drink a lot of hot milk. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, or like soy milk.
Is that a thing with Asian people, or does everyone drink hot milk when they're growing up?
I think it's because like, I mean, I can only speak for me when I grew up in Taiwan. It's that we drink a lot of soybean milk that's hot, or like rice milk. And so if you're drinking milk in the morning, like it might as well be hot.
I do that. We grew up with drinking a lot of hot milk too.
Yeah, yeah. So
I wonder if other people do that. Let us know in the comments below.
Okay, shall we dive in because I'm so excited?
Yes, please. It'll go really well
I'll
with
have
our
a little
coffee
bit.
too.
Okay.
Please be my guest.
The sponge.
Yes.
Oh my
Get some
gosh.
cream too. Don't
Oh,
forget
okay.
to get cream.
I'll get the cream. Okay.
Are you like a little lactose?
I
feel like a lot of people are.
I'm not gonna explode if I have like dairy or gluten, but I mean I've shared with this on the pod before. I have PCOS, so it's like I have certain things I'm sensitive towards, but like I don't have this every day, you know. So it's like if I have like a few bites of this,
Okay.
like I'm fine.
Okay.
Imagine
I
I like explode on the podcast.
Well,
Surprise! Okay. Okay. Let me try.
No pressure. You don't like it.
The microphone is so good.
It's like it's not too sweet.
This is restaurant quality.
Honey whipped cream.
This is bakery quality. Oh, this is so good, Puni.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, this is so good.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad because I cook all the time and I bake all the
Oh
time.
my
I just
gosh.
don't have anybody to
Well,
eat it.
You live by yourself. I'm happy to come.
Yes, please come all the time. Come hang out with me and Henry.
Yeah, because like the two of us, I mean, we run our own businesses. Like you run your own flower business, I run my own editing business. It gets lonely. So that's
It
I like
does.
before we talk about Young Puni, it's like I want to talk about just like the
Young
feeling
Puni. Is
of
that my
like,
rapper name? It's, the single's
Young
coming
Petal.
out.
I am at home by myself all the time. So like, do you get lonely easily? Is what I'm asking.
That is the key word. Lonely. I get lonely all the time. And I don't know if this is like a foreigner experience. Like, even though, despite the fact that I feel like I've been in America for a really, really long time, I still feel very lonely very often. And I don't know if it's like an innate feeling of not having any of your family here. And you're
A
just
feeling of otherness too here.
Yeah, and just feeling like solo dolo all the time. You know?
What does that mean?
Solo dolo. just solo. Like you're by yourself,
Oh.
you know? And I just feel like, yeah, the feeling of otherness being here, but also feeling of otherness from the people at home. You know what I mean? Like I was just
You're not like Thai enough, you mean, or?
Not so. Like it's almost like I'm on the fringes of every circle all the time.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking to my younger brother about this too, where I was just like, oh, sometimes, because this week especially, I was feeling extra lonely and I don't know why. But I was just like talking to my brother and I was like, I don't know. I just feel like everybody has their core people here. Like they have their person and their group, like either people that they've grown up with or people they've worked with for a really long time. And I never had coworkers before, really, because I've always worked in very, very tiny companies and startups and stuff like that. And I went to school in New York and Syracuse, shout out Syracuse. But all of my friends, they're out in, or my college friends are out in New York and in the East Coast. And my family, you know, my mom and my brother went to Syracuse with me, but he moved back to Thailand right after college. And they're kind of doing their thing. And all my friends in Thailand that I grew up with, who I talk to all the time, they're also doing their thing. Like last week maybe it's because of this, because last week all of my friends that I grew up with took a trip to Korea together, and I was like, I want to go with you guys. And I just feel like I'm on the fringes of everything. Even the people near and dear to me, they're kind of doing things together without me, and I'm just like on the fringe being like, oh my god, guys, that's so nice.
Yeah, that's like being a third culture kid, and also being a jet-setting globetrotter. I don't know if I just named that correctly, but like, yeah, I kind of feel the same way too. It's also because of just like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to get into like the whole like Asian diaspora identity thingy, but it's like I went to international school as well in Taipei.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And in Shanghai too. I grew up in Shanghai and Taipei, so I went to international schools there. It's like, oh, you're not like
Did
Chinese.
you play sports?
I did.
Wait, were you guys in Fabicia? Do you know that? Or
no, I was in the IASIS convention.
Oh, okay, that's
IASIS,
different.
yeah.
Because in at least the school that I went to, BIS in Phuket, like we would have competitions, right? We'd all have these competitions with other international schools, and ours is called Fabicia, which is I think mostly Southeast Asian international schools.
I see.
Yeah, so.
Ours was East Asia and Southeast Asia. So we were with
a lot of like Hong Kong.
We didn't have Hong Kong, but we had like not Shanghai American. I think Shanghai American. No, Singapore American School.
Oh.
International School Bangkok. I was like, no, ISB, not IBS.
ISB.
ISB, and like ISKL, International School of Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta International School. So we were in that.
Wait,
little conglomerate.
I love this because I feel like Asian people that went to international school is like a flavor as well.
Yes.
Like
what flavor are we like
now.
giving?
Yes, it's like Asian people with international school like background is like such a thing.
Yeah, and you know, it's like I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed that I went to international school because like in LA, I bump into so many of my friends in international school, and it's crazy. Like I was at a friend's birthday party, and she lives in Santa Monica, and I'm like standing in that room. I was like, I know all of you guys from school. And what my other friends, my other roommate, she went to another international school in Thailand, but it was not part of like a huge network of schools. And she was just sitting with me. She's like, wow, Melissa, you are so lucky. I was like, yeah, like I literally know all of these people from school. I'm just like so lucky that I've also been able to have some alumni on the podcast too, because they've been doing amazing things. Anyway, I do get like lonely when I, you know, work by myself, and I feel like I'm 24. I'm also like not dating anyone. And so I'm just like, I talked about this in an episode that's about to come out where I see, you know, my roommates, like her boyfriend carrying grocery bags for her. And I'm just like, damn. Like, and I'm like carrying all my grocery bags myself, trying to fish the keys out of my pocket. I'm just like, you know, and for me, it's like I don't accept help easily.
Right.
And so, like, of course, like, I kind of do this to myself too. But, you know, I do hang out with friends. I, like, make it an effort to, you know, hang out with friends on a weekly basis. But, you know, I'm not in a corporate environment where I'm, like, around coworkers. And even when I was in a more corporate environment, my previous job at Wired, I was, like, with, like, science and techie bros. And I just found it so hard to relate to them. And they're also older than me, so they're also more advanced and higher up in their careers. Like one time we just decided to do a little coworker hangout session at this wine bar in Silver Lake, east of LA. I was like this 23-year-old girly just showing up, and I was like having a glass of wine with people in their 30s, which is not too far off in terms of age, but they're like, yeah, you know, my wife and I, we like bought a house, so like I just walked here, and like he's earning $500,000, and I'm like an associate producer who's like getting exploited as a permanent contractor, earning like 60, like literally like after tax less than $60,000, and I'm like holding this glass of wine that someone paid for me. I'm like, it's also because like I find it so hard to relate to my previous coworkers too. That makes it kind of lonely as well. Yeah, because
so you feel like you don't have like a lot of like your peers like surrounding you very much when you work.
When I work, but in terms of my friend group though, a lot of my friends from college are in LA, which is like a totally different community. But in terms of like just enriching myself in that work culture, like, yeah, I just am by myself all the time, and I just like find it so hard to, you know, make it less lonely.
But I mean, like, making friends as an adult is so it's like time and effort. It's like dating. It's like the same thing as dating. You know, you have to put in time, you have to put in effort, you have to go on like friend dates, and then you have to like make sure that like, oh, like, do I want to see this person again? Did we have a good enough time? Because you get like everybody. It's the same as dating. Finding a good friend is like as like dating, and you need to put time, effort, and you know, and there's so much that you can give. Like as an adult, there's so many things that you need to do, like friends that you already have, you still want to nourish, and then, you know, work and all that stuff. So this year for me has been the year of friendship.
Oh, good.
That is like my ultimate like goal.
Is it easy for you to make friends? I think it's pretty. I think I'm pretty good.
Are you an extrovert?
Yes.
I'm an extrovert too. Yeah. And maybe that's
we're getting lunch after this.
No, we are. We're like, let's go on a little girl lunch.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're like this, and I think that's how we met, right? Because like I'm pretty okay with, and again, I don't know if this is like just being a foreigner and this is like a survival skill, really, that I'm very good at just being like, hey, who are you? Like, do you want to hang out? Like on the internet sometimes. And I love like,
and I think because your background is so much embedded in social media that you're just more comfortable in that space too.
And I'm just like, I just love rizzing girls up online, you know, just like talented girls. I'm always just like, you are so talented, like positive rizzing, you know, when not creepy. But I just love when girls are like thriving and they're killing it and they're doing their thing, and it inspires me so much. And it's kind of how I like reached out to you too. I was just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? It's so awesome. Like, you want to like get together, do something. That's so cool. Yeah. You know, I just love doing that. And I think this year I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Like investing in, you know,
I think it's been pretty fruitful, you know?
Amazing. Yeah. Let's put a pin in that and like actually go to young Puni.
Oh my God.
So you were telling me how like you grew up not on the mainland in Thailand. So tell us like a little about where you grew up.
I grew up in Phuket, which is a southern island in Thailand. I mean, it was awesome. You know, like
you were an island girl.
I am an island girl. I am an island girl through and through. Honestly, I spent a lot of time in New York because of school and stuff, New York City, and I had the best time there. But I think at the core, I am such a like sunshine,
salt, sea,
and sea girl. But not a sand girl. I don't like sand. We hate sand.
Next weekend, so speaking of like rest,
are you having a podcast on the beach?
Wait, that's actually a really good idea. Oh my gosh, I should totally do that. But But actually, because next weekend, because after my car accident, I was like, okay, Melissa, you need to take your rest and relaxation seriously. And so me and my roommates, like, we're gonna go to Santa Barbara next weekend.
Wait, cute.
My first time, and I told like my roommates, I was like we can appreciate and admire the beach from afar. Like, we're not gonna go in the sand. We do not want sand in the car.
We don't like sand.
No.
We don't like sand. It's like just like it stays with you forever.
Yeah.
You're just gonna find it weeks and weeks later in your car, in your house, in your clothes, in your shoes. Not about sand. I do like the ocean though. I like being in the water. I am a water girly, but I'm not a sand girly.
If we had like a rental car, like I'd be like, absolutely, let's go to the beach and use the sand.
Right?
We're returning the car. But
oh my gosh.
I get you. It's like I like the idea of, you know, the benefits that like the salty water brings to your skin, to your hair, and like getting a cold dip. Like I love the idea of that.
Like nature in general.
Exactly.
You know?
But I mean, like that was the environment that you were surrounded with when you were growing up. Wow. That's so beautiful.
But Phuket has changed a lot, you know? I mean, I grew up there. I was born and raised there, and it's a beautiful place. It was a quaint little island when I was growing up, but now it has really grown quite a bit into like a major city.
Oh, really?
So,
and is the tourism up?
Oh my God, always, like exponentially every year. Every time I go back, there's more and more traffic, which makes me sad to say, you know what I mean? I know it's good for the economy, and I'm really happy for my hometown.
But it like, is your home. It's like the charm is lost.
Right, and it does like, and I had obviously the local experience of growing up, which is very different from a tourist experience of experiencing Phuket. It's very, very different. Yep. But yeah, seeing your town kind of grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and almost like being exploited by like tourism, and became this almost like codependency or like dependency on tourism is truly like quite sad sometimes for me to be like, oh my goodness, it was like. And even it was very different when my mom was growing up too. She used to tell me like all these stories about Phuket, and for her, even when I was growing up there, she was like, oh, it's changed so much already. Yeah, Phuket has grown like very, very big. We used to never have any traffic, and now there's traffic all the time.
And is there more like pollution in the water? I would assume so.
Probably, but there's always people in Phuket. I mean, it's a beautiful island, rightfully so. People should go there. I wouldn't say that you shouldn't go there. And there's still pockets of really, really beautiful spots, but there's definitely some spots that are giving like
just inundated.
Yeah.
Do you think the reason why you went to New York is because you just wanted a completely different environment?
No, I just went to school there.
It just naturally
here's
happened?
the thing. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's my life. Okay. I don't know if we talked about this on our little phone chat before this.
You did the exchange program?
Yes, okay, of course. So that's the true young puni origin.
Okay,
well,
when we talk about it, we have another bite of this cake because it's so good.
that is the Midwestern puni chapter.
Yeah.
Which is my...
Was it like elementary school or high
No,
school?
no. It was my junior year of high school. I was an AFS foreign exchange student for 1 year in Iowa. And that was, shout out to the Iowans. I mean, I love it there, meaning like it has a special place in my heart, you know, but what I was going to say was that my life sometimes feels like one big, like, flowing river of things just kind of happening and falling into it's
Yet
like
very different chapters.
Yeah, and I feel like I guess this is how I view life sometimes. I think this might be like the Buddhist upbringing in me is that I don't feel like things can exist without other things that happened
I
before,
agree, absolutely.
right? Like, because I was like a foreign exchange student in Iowa. When I did the scholarship for this, the test, and I got it, I got to pick the country where I wanted to go, and it was
Iowa?
No, the country.
Okay.
No, so they let me pick 3 countries that I wanted to go to as my 1 year exchange program as a foreign exchange student, and I picked Holland, and I picked Belgium, and I picked America.
Oh, and your life would have been so different had you chosen if you went on these different paths.
To like the Netherlands.
Holland, lots of flowers there.
Just be Dutch. Oh my God.
You might have been a tulip
Crazy,
lady.
right? I mean, tulips right now.
Oh, these are tulips?
These are double tulips. Aren't they crazy?
Oh, wow, I didn't know.
Right? And like flowers have so many varieties, and you never really know that they could look like this.
Oh.
And I'll show you a trick later too.
Okay.
In our little flower arranging class that we're gonna have. But yeah, I think so. I went to Iowa for a year, and then I feel very grateful. Iowa has a really special place in my heart, just because I feel like if these people didn't take me in, like I had a host family in Iowa. It's kind of like in the middle of nowhere, but it was very quaint. And it was my first time in a foreign, like being abroad really, ever outside of just traveling. I was like living abroad. And I was very grateful and very excited and very like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to just be plopped in Iowa.
And how would you describe Iowa to someone who's never been? Like the culture, the people, the vibes.
I mean, I do feel like it's a true Midwestern feel. You know, what people think about Midwestern people is very true, at least in my experience.
They're
people
really kind.
Very kind, very polite. No one locks their doors. But then it's probably because the next house down is like a mile and a half away.
Is it all flat land or?
It's so flat. You can like roll a bowling ball and it would just like go on forever. And it was just like corn and fields and corn. And it was awesome. Like, you know, I rode a combine and people went mudding and stuff. And it was like the true American experience. That's how I view it. It's like, even Americans, like who really had the true American experience?
I agree with you. I think when people think of the true American experience, they're like Los Angeles or New York, but all those places, like,
it's a metropolitan like city,
and it's also, I feel like the American experience is also very subjective, you know, because it's also a melting pot of many different cultures. But I think when people think of America, they think of all these metropolis cities, but they don't think about, you know, the Midwestern cities.
90% of the country is just, I don't know, felt like the Midwest. You know, there's like, it's such a huge country. And that's what it is. I got to pick the country that I wanted to go to. And then, and I got my first pick, which was America. But I didn't get to pick where in America.
Oh, God.
And, you know, like, you forget how big the country is, and you thought you'd be plopped down in, like, I don't know, LA or New York or at least DC or something, you know, Seattle, like someplace you'd know. Yeah. And then I was like, Iowa. Like, they're like, you're going to Iowa. Congratulations.
How did they reveal it to you?
They revealed it by, oh my God, this is such a memory. They revealed it by giving you the airport that you're going to land.
Oh my gosh.
No, not even the airport, like the airport hub. Like, where you're gonna transfer, like where you're gonna fly into land.
This feels like The Amazing Race.
And I got the code ORD, which is Chicago O'Hare. So they kind of give you the sector of where you're going by giving you the airport you're flying into.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I got the ORD airport. And so I was going somewhere in the Midwest, and then they told you that you're going to Iowa and this is your family. They send you a picture of the family that you're going to be with, a little blurb about them.
And how long was this entire transition period? Because that's such a big change.
It was what for me to like go from Thailand to go to Iowa.
Yeah, and to find out that you're going to be going to be going to Iowa.
I don't know. Maybe it might be like half a year, 6 months, 8 months.
Are you generally someone who's open to change? Do you embrace it?
I am.
Yeah.
Like I said, back to the hee hee ha ha. You know, like I don't think I think too much about things. Like I kind of just like take it as it comes, roll with the punches. I'm very type B. I'm not a very stressed person unless I'm rushed. I get very snippy and snappy if I'm rushed, and if somebody rushes me, I'm gonna like be even slower just to be like, no, you don't tell me to hurry up. But I will say, because I listened to your latest episode about your car accident, right? And I really was resonating with it. Oh gosh, I like lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Like Iowa, the transition period, and like, are you open to change? Do you embrace it? Yeah.
Opening to change. We'll come back to that. I was about to make a really, really good point, and I completely forgot. God damn it.
That's okay.
Because when I listened to your episode, I was like, yes, this is exactly how I feel as well, and that's really good. Being open to change. I was like being a hee hee ha ha girl. We'll come back to it.
Because something that I also admire, like just hearing about your experience, is that I think a lot of people, and I also come off as someone who's very...
I remember!
Say. Okay. Redact 86 what I'm about to say. You say yours. Okay, go. Say it before you forget.
I'm so excited. I'm forgetting again what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Wait, I remember now. Okay. I'm like sweating. My legs are sweating because I was like, I can't believe I just forgot what I was going to say.
Okay. Do you remember now? We forgot again? Oh my gosh. That's okay. Let me have another slice of your cake. Guys, like, this cake is actually so good. This cake is actually so good. Like, okay, so Puni, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a glucose monitor on me.
I do see that.
And so, like, I have to check my blood sugar, like, you know, every time I finish, you know, like after I exercise, every time I finish something. Sometimes I feel like I'm an inflatable human balloon, and if you take this off, I'll just deflate.
It's chic.
It's chic. I'm part cyborg.
Yeah, it does look like that. It's in right now, like Dune.
Yes.
It's giving Dune.
Okay, I'll have another bite.
It's giving Blade Runner. You're sure you're not gonna explode?
Oh no, I might like get some extra acne, but like that disappears. No worries.
It's okay. Life is worth it sometimes.
When I go back
I remember now.
Okay, I'm not gonna say anything.
I remember now. Is what you said about your dad.
My dad.
This is how I live life. That resonated with me so much because I have this motto outside of the hee hee ha ha thing, but this is under the umbrella of hee hee ha ha as well. Philosophy of life is that, and this has helped me cope with so much in my life. And this comes from the little disclaimer here is that this is coming from a very, very privileged place that I could be able to say this and you could be able to say this, is that life, sometimes when the really bad stuff happens in life, or like unfortunate things can just be expensive. And that's just, if no one's dead or severely hurt or severely compromised, if it's expensive, then that's just that. You know what I mean? Like if any problem can be solved by money, then that's okay. Yeah. You didn't get compromised. And then, you know, I feel like that really brings me like to a place of gratitude when something really, really bad happens to me, or like I get upset, or like things don't go my way and stuff. And just reminding myself that like, well, at least I didn't die, or I didn't kill someone, or I didn't get really, really hurt, or somebody else didn't get really, really hurt. I get my car towed all the time. And I would just get really upset, but then I'm just like, you know what? this is just expensive, you know, like, and if that can be solved by some money, and I'm in a privileged place to be able to take care of that, then it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, it could be worse. I guess my bottom line is saying that, reminding myself that things could be worse, and I just feel very, very lucky to even be here in the first place. Yeah. You know, and living and surviving and just thriving as best as I can. Yeah,
my dad is a very wise man. I've used a lot of his lessons in the podcast when I talk to people, so I'm glad that it resonated with you. Like in a previous episode where I was interviewing an actor who was actually an alumni of my Taipei school, is that I was telling another thing that my dad taught me when I was so young. It's like, just treat everyone with kindness and respect. You never know if they're going to be your boss one day. And I was like, yes, like, absolutely. Especially in the creative community when it's so, like, cross collaborative, you never know if you're going to be working with this person that you talk to, or like that person.
LA especially, it's like LA is very big but also very small.
Exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree with that statement. Okay,
everybody knows everybody here.
So we were in Iowa, Puni. Should we start flower arranging?
Let's do it while we, like, as we're talking, right?
Okay. Hello, this is Melissa from the future. You may have noticed, Melissa, why did the episode suddenly cut off? Well, it's because I've decided to segment this episode into 2 parts because the conversation was too good and I just love having these girl talks. So part 1 is the one that you just listened to. Part 2, actually, you don't have to wait till next week. It's actually coming out in 2 more days. So you'll get to listen to it on Sunday. It's another chill, free-flowing girl chat, and you get to witness, if you're on Spotify, you get to witness Puni and I floral arrange. And it's going to be a super fun, chill time for you to watch in, listen in on your wonderful Sunday. So Puni and I will see you then. And be sure to follow the podcast, share it with other people, leave a review, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!